Pokemon Unite is a multiplayer online battle arena, or MOBA, that features a lot of the pocket launches that we have all grown to love throughout the years. With an ever-expanding roster of all of these lovable creatures tossed around throughout the various maps and game modes, it almost makes you feel bad for having to slam dunk them for the sake of a perfectly balanced meta. Anyways, what is up, ghouls, gamers, and goblins? I'm the PotatoBagel, and today we're going to take our minds out of the raid pit and into Aroma Park, where we'll be asking ourselves, what if Abra was a playable Pokemon? For those unfamiliar with the structure of how Pokemon Unite works, each playable character falls under a role that best suits their playstyle. In this case, Abra will be an attacker, which is a Pokemon that usually either has a high DPS or high spell damage and attacks at a range. Starting off, each Pokemon gets 2 starting moves that then further upgrade into a selection of 2 options each, which makes up the moveset. There's also the Unite move, or Ultimate, which is a super powerful skill that has its own independent cooldown, and a basic attack, which is also just a simple move you can use while the more important ones are on cooldown. Now, Abra is a Pokemon known for its immense and powerful psychic abilities of instantaneous relocation, self-displacing, and even molecular reconstitution. Yeah, it just teleports. That's all it does. That's all it ever will do. Luckily, the Panic Parade game mode gave Abra the ability to fire off some type of psionic wave, which we can use as its basic attack. I'll touch more on this later. Now, I know I said each Pokemon gets 2 starting moves, but since teleporting is all Abra can do, that's all it will get. There's not going to be a choice here, it'll just get teleport. Compared to most other Pokemon, this is a rough early game, as Abra is now an attacker with no offensive pressure, but that does suit its reputation in the mainline games. Teleport will function as it does for Ralts, but with a short cast time beforehand and a shorter cooldown. To balance this, Abra will evolve into Kadabra at level 4. Once it evolves, it gains its second starting move in Confusion. When using Confusion, Kadabra will enter a state similar to Duraludon's Flash Cannon and automatically fire off powerful Psychic Blasts in the aimed direction. Kadabra won't be able to move, but it can still use Teleport to move around. These Psychic Blasts explode in a small area, having some AoE damage, making it highly effective clearing out the Swablu and Altaria. For people familiar with this game, this is going to sound like Mega Mewtwo-wise basic attacks, and that's kind of the point, just obviously not as powerful. Also at level 4, Kadabra will be upgrading Teleport to another move. The options here will either be Kinesis or Teleport Plus. Yeah, you heard me right. Teleport Plus. There is no second move choice, it's still Teleport. Compared to the original Teleport, the Plus version will no longer have a cast time and will give you an attack speed buff for a few seconds after using it. As a downside, it will also have a slightly longer cooldown. Kinesis, on the other hand, is where the real fun begins. Kinesis has 2 chargers, allowing you to use it on 2 separate occasions. What these chargers do is summon a giant spoon on the map. Summoning these spoons will have a small cast time, but the effect is worth it. These spoons function as turrets or towers, firing off basic attacks at enemy Pokemon. While under the effect of Confusion, the spoon's projectiles will also be upgraded, becoming the projectiles from Confusion that you're firing. Upgrading Kinesis to Kinesis Plus allows the spoons to stay on the field longer and gives the charges a shorter cooldown. Only 2 spoons can be on the field at the same time. At level 7, Kadabra will evolve into Alakazam, and Confusion will either become Psybeam or Psychic. Because of how the movesets work in Pokemon Unite, Psybeam is meant to be paired with Kinesis and Psychic with Teleport, but you can mix and match. Psybeam is going to be a sure hit move and feel like the direct upgrade to Confusion. I know the sure hit idea is debatable, but hear me out. Psybeam can be targeted onto an enemy, a wild Pokemon, or the Kinesis spoons. Unlike Confusion, you can move, but very slowly. Think Mewtwo's Psystrike, but you're in the enemy's Flux Zone. When fired at an enemy or wild Pokemon, it's a simple damaging attack that lasts a few seconds. When aimed at one of the spoons, that spoon will stop its automatic attacking and instead refract the Psybeam into 3 smaller beams. If the other spoon is within a certain range, one of the refractions will go onto that spoon, while the others will latch on an enemy or wild Pokemon and function like the main move, but with less damage. If the second spoon is hit, it will also split into 3 parts as well. All 3 of these refractions will target an enemy or wild Pokemon. No Pokemon can be hit by 2 refractions from the same spoon, but if it is caught between both spoons, it will get hit with 1 refraction from each spoon. Psybeam Plus will give the move and its refractions a damage increase. Psychic, on the other hand, will feel like you're becoming a Mega Mewtwo X. This move is a buff, boosting Alakazam's special attack and movement speed. Under the effects of Psychic, Alakazam will have boosted basic attacks that will have increased damage and be able to push back enemies, but they will have a drastically reduced range, basically becoming melee attacks. Think of these attacks as sudden bursts of psychic energy being pushed out by Alakazam's spoons. The pushback effect is very slight as to not be redundant with the melee attacks. Psychic Plus will further increase the special attack buff. If paired with Kinesis, the spoon's projectile will be upgraded like with Confusion, but a melee area will appear around the spoons, slowing down enemy Pokemon. When under the effect of Psychic, Teleport will have a boosted effect, creating a powerful shockwave emitted around the area that you teleported to, which damages and knocks up enemies. The function behind this combo is to be able to switch from the backlines to the front lines in absolutely clean house. At level 9, Alakazam will get its Unite move. Its Unite move will be like the Decidueyes, but with the giant Kamehameha type Psybeam. Massive damage, massive range. What more could you ask for? As for its basic attacks, Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam will have a meter under their health that fills up with each basic attack, similar to Chandelure. This meter functions as a secondary timer for Confusion, Psybeam, and Psychic, giving them a longer duration. Throughout this moveset, I've designed the moves to either have a casting time or some sort of duration. This is because of the passive I've chosen. Inner Focus is one of Alakazam's abilities in the mainline games, and it prevents flinching. In Pokemon Unite, the flavor of these concentration-based spells works well with an ability like Inner Focus. When under the effects of a concentration or casting-based move, Alakazam will become hindrance resistant, wanting to focus on maintaining its spell. Furthermore, when under the effects of Confusion, Psybeam, or Psychic, Alakazam will also get a small boost to its defenses. The hindrance resistant won't last a whole duration, but the defense boost will. Overall, I designed Alakazam to essentially be a weaker Mewtwo since EX Pokemon seem to be falling in and out of competitive legality. Luckily, the Psybeam Kinesis build gives Alakazam more uniqueness, hopefully finding some viability even alongside Mewtwo. I wanted to focus on field effects like with Kinesis because I feel it's an underutilized aspect of Unite. Aside from a couple Unite moves and Sludge Bomb, these lasting area effects aren't really seen. There's a lot of potential with these, and I think it'll make people want to play defenders more often and be able to CC enemies into some of these areas. I stayed away from throwing numbers out to avoid a balance discrepancy, but I hope these concepts make sense and are enjoyable at the same time. I know some of the other majors like Gardevoir and Chandelure get a cooldown reduction at the higher levels, but I don't think this works well with Alakazam here. I feel that it would make some of the effects too powerful unless they were offset by naturally long cooldowns anyway. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'd love to continue doing something like this, so be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I was thinking about doing Araquanid next, but if you guys have other ideas, let me know in the comments. Until then, stay frothy.